Today we welcome back Rachel Tsateri. Rachel, last time we spoke, you were in Germany. Are you still there?
Not exactly. I'm in Athens for the holidays.
Oh, right. That's Athens behind you, I think.
Yes, it is.
Good. And so for the January, February edition of MET, you've written
Mhm.
about one of your favorite teaching activities. Before explaining the activity, can you tell us first about its purpose and why you like it?
Well, I like it because it can be a backup activity for the, end of the lesson. But you can also base an entire lesson, a task-based lesson around it. And I like it because it gives students a chance to practice speaking a lot, especially fluency. The way I use it is I start with fluency and then I give feedback on language. So fluency first, accuracy later. This is why I like this activity very much.
Okay. Right. Now can you explain the activity? Talk us through the steps.
Mhm. Yes. So first of all, the activity I'm going to describe is one that a lot of teachers are probably familiar with, surveys. Surveys can be used in a lot of different ways. I'll give you some examples. First of all, one of the benefits is that it is 100% student generated, so zero preparation for the teacher, which is great. I'm sure you'll agree, Jono.
Yep. Yep.
So let's say you're teaching a lesson, you finished early and you have 10, 15 minutes left and you haven't planned anything for that time. It happens to the best of us. If it's a receptive skills lesson like listening or reading, you can ask your students to take a piece of paper or use their notebooks and write down some questions, one, two, or three, depends on how many students you have or how much time you have left. Questions related to the topic of the lesson. So if the lesson topic is travel and holidays, for example, they can write, where are you spending the summer and why? What are your plans for the holidays? Or which is the best Christmas destination and why? They can write whatever they want to ask each other. Another idea is to ask them to practice using language from the lesson, maybe some fixed phrases or phrasal verbs that they encountered in the text or in the lesson. My tip is to avoid yes or no questions because, they will just reply yes or no. So use open-ended questions followed by why to get them talking. Now, you can also help your weaker students with some question stems. Like you can tell them, give them some examples. When was the last time you, or have you ever, or would you rather do this or that to give them some extra support? So that's the first stage, writing the questions. The second is mingle and ask. They take their little piece of paper or notebook, stand up, start mingling, start moving around the classroom, asking each other their questions and writing down the answers, recording the answers. Depending on how many classmates they plan to ask, they will draw, a number of columns. If they want to ask one classmate, they will draw one column, write their answer there. If they want to ask two or more, they will draw two or three columns in their little piece of paper. And the last stage is to report back. So they will sit down, maybe they will have a look, at the answers, maybe discover any patterns. Some students gave the same answer, etc. And they would report back in plenary. For example, they would say things like, nobody likes X, or all of my classmates said Z, or some of them would like to go there, etc., and provide the reasons as well. But as I said earlier, you can even base an entire lesson around surveys. It could be a task-based lesson or a dogme lesson. And perhaps the difference would be that in a task-based lesson, the teacher would choose the topic. And students would come up with the questions, whereas in a dogme lesson, perhaps students would choose the topic or topics, right? Because they could have more than one topics, I think, in a dogme lesson. So yeah, that's it. Zero prep, high yield activity. What do
Yeah.
you think, Jono?
I, I love the idea. I think it's a great idea. I like you've got that accuracy focus at the beginning, which is
Mm,
important, and then the communication, the fluency, that kind of side of it. And I was really taken with what
hmm
you said about, that 10 minutes left at the end of the lesson, and you've got to do something, you've got to fill in the time. And that is
Exactly.
a good way of tying it to the topic. and recycling that and consolidating that information. So I love it.
Great. Yeah. And then you can give feedback on language, if there were any mistakes, etc. So it's fluency to accuracy, helping them speak confidently and then helping them with language.
Yeah. Such a, you could adapt it to so many lessons, couldn't you, as well? Excellent.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for sharing, Rachel. That's
My
great.
pleasure.
We'll see you back here again another time.
Perhaps. Thank you, Jono.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.